NC State head coach Dave Doeren is a winner. Every year since 2014, outside of the COVID year, he's brought the Wolfpack to a bowl game, but he's been unable to cross the double-digit wins threshold. Many thought this would finally be the season. They returned the ACC preseason player of the year in quarterback Devin Leary and backed him up with a really strong defense. Based on their record alone, it seems like they're close to taking that next step. But when you look closer, there have been some issues hiding under the hood. And almost all of these issues are on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive coordinator Tim Beck loves to stretch the field horizontally. Their go-to running play is outside zone. In outside zone, the offensive line takes off towards the sideline in an attempt to beat their man and pin him inside. If they don't do that, that means their defender is rushing hard outside, which opens up cutback lanes for the running back. This desire for a horizontal stretch extends to the passing game. They run the 8th most running back screens in the country, which takes advantage of over-aggressive defensive linemen to try to get their backs out in space. Then they like to run slants to try to get short completions and continue to force the defense to cheat their safeties towards the line of scrimmage, which is when they use Devin Leary's elite arm talent to take the top off the defense. However, this aspect of the game hasn't been there for the Wolfpack this season. Their receivers just haven't been good this year. I think part of this is because they lost Emeka Emezie, who was one of their primary deep threats to keep defenses honest, but even outside of that, they've struggled. Currently, they're second in the country in drop passes, and in general haven't made Leary's job easy. In addition, their offensive line doesn't seem to be helping out too much. Their sack numbers are good in general, but they haven't been blitzed often, and Leary tends to get rid of the ball quickly. In the running game, their yards before contact numbers have been pretty poor, which has led to the 101st best offensive success rate on running plays in the country. But really the biggest issue has been a lack of explosive plays, which is something that FSU doesn't give up anyways. If NC State is going to move the ball on Saturday, they'll likely have to increase their success rate, which may not be a huge challenge since that has been an issue for FSU's defense all season. Okay, that's enough about their offense. Let's get into their real strength, the defense. NC State runs a lot of tight front. Traditional 3-down fronts have nose guards that align over the center and defensive tackles that are head up on the offensive tackles. This is called a 4 technique. Tight front is called tight front because they cheat these tackles inside to what's called a 4 inside or 4-eye technique. This helps them clog up the middle of the offense with as few defenders as possible. These 4-eye tackles occupy the B gaps. This nose guard takes an A gap, which means the defense only needs one traditional box linebacker to occupy all the interior run fits. This frees NC State to have more speed on the field, as these outside linebackers don't have to navigate the crowded box and can afford to be lighter and built more like a traditional safety. These extra hybrid defenders allow NC State to solidify their coverage over the top, while maintaining a light box that stuffs up interior runs. On this play, Clemson spreads the field wide with 5 receivers, and it looks like they have the numbers to pull off a quarterback draw, since there's 5 blockers for 4 defenders. However, the number of gaps is often more important to a defense than the number of people. Here, NC State has enough defenders to occupy all 4 interior gaps, which means if the quarterback is going to run, he's going to have to bounce it outside. The extra speed on the field also allows them to play with 1 high safety, as their hybrid linebackers have enough speed to carry receivers up the seams, which is traditionally a weakness versus 1 high shells. And these linebackers are really what make the defense click. There are 4 or 5 that could be considered all ACC players on any given Saturday. While the tight front doesn't suit itself well for pass rushing since there are no traditional rush ends, it does allow them to disguise pressure, since any one of these defenders can come on a blitz. These blitzes are good at generating pressures, however the pure sack numbers still lag a little bit behind. There are very few weaknesses to this defense, but there are some better ways to try to move the ball than others. While the tight front is extremely effective against inside runs like inside zone, which NC State is the 16th best team at defending in the country in terms of yards per rush, it struggles much more against counter, where they rank 91st. Instead of running at these defensive tackles that have cheated inward, counter pins them down and pulls linemen across to bring extra blockers to the outside. This forces those hybrid linebackers to confront linemen in space, which they aren't built to do. This just so happens to be FSU's bread and butter play, and much of this game will hinge on whether they can pull it off against this defense. Also, NC State doesn't give up many big plays in the passing game, In fact, they're first in the country at yards per play given up on passes that travel over 20 yards in air. This is a particularly interesting matchup because Florida State is fairly good at deep passes, thanks in large part to 6'7" wide receiver Johnny Wilson. But Clemson found some success with West Coast passing plays, which uses short triangle concepts or crossing routes to give easy completions to the quarterback. Overall, this game will be a good test for where both teams are. I would be surprised if the game was a blowout either way. Both defenses do a good job of limiting explosive plays, and neither offense looks primed to take off this game. All I know is whoever comes out of this game with a victory takes another step into the upper echelons of the ACC. Thanks for watching. If you're an NC State fan, let me know how I did in the comments below. If you're a Florida State fan, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out Knowles247 for more FSU news and updates. Thanks.